Done is better than perfect. Welcome to Coaching with Tally. We're here today talking about perfectionism. What are some of the things that cause it? What are some of the costs to operating in perfectionism on a regular basis? What are the negatives for you? And what are some things that you can do to begin to cure it, to shift the conversation in your own head around perfectionism and begin to get some freedom around it? So my name is Tally. I'm a life and personal development coach, and I work with leaders to create lives of profound impact in the world that are centered in joy, getting leaders aligned to who they most truly are, firing on all cylinders, and just creating an incredible impact in the world because they're living a life that they love living, passionate about what they do. So today, perfectionism. Talking about the phrase done is better than perfect has been a lifeline for me in my own journey with perfectionism. This is an area that I would say has been one of the biggest defects of character for me to overcome. One of the things I've been working on for years and keep finding more and more and more freedom around it, which is awesome. And still finding more daily. Like, this is something that I definitely can relate to. So if you resonate with this, you're not alone in it. Actually, a lot of my clients, a lot of the high performers that I work with struggle with perfectionism. And while it can serve us in some ways, it usually backfires and ends up hurting us far more than it helps us. So let's just talk a little bit about what are some of the causes of perfectionism. So perfectionism is something that can be a driver toward doing things in excellence, but really it's very fear-based. And so anytime something is centered in fear rather than love, it ends up hurting us in the long run. So really what we're trying to do is avoid pain, avoid rejection, avoid judgment often, do things so that we get approval. It's all about avoiding pain and getting needs met. That's really what is at the core of our perfectionism. So it's rooted in some desire that we want to have met, that we think if we do it right, that we'll have that need met, or we'll be able to avoid pain. So the costs of operating in perfectionism on a regular basis. One, it actually keeps us from connection. There's a whole workshop that I do called Uncovering the Masterpiece You Already Are. And one of the things that we do in that is we look at what are the coping mechanisms that we operate in. All of us have them. What are the things that we do to get those needs met, to avoid pain? Perfectionism is one of mine. And we have these plastic masks that we actually get out and we write our coping mechanisms. We write our things like that, like perfectionism was on mine. And then we all wear our plastic mask so you can see through it, and then I have people stand facing one other person and then we'll switch and face another person. But the idea is I want you to try to really connect with this person standing in front of you. And we find that it is so hard to actually have real connection when you're wearing a mask and somebody else is wearing a mask. It's like the ability to connect, it makes it almost impossible to deeply connect with someone when we're wearing these masks. And so one of the things it costs us is perfectionism. Another cost to operating in perfectionism is living a life where the experience of it is like having this really unkind, critical person following us around, like constantly, like saying negative crap about us. It's like this inner critic that is just constantly picking apart everything that we do and keeping us from actually stepping into things that we want to do. So that's the next one. It causes us to procrastinate. If you are a perfectionist, you struggle with procrastination. They go hand in hand. So when you go to do something, then you're like, but I got to get it just right, And one of the things that has broken me through that is the phrase that we started with, done is better than perfect. I got that from Nick Unsworth. Thank you, Nick, for that. If you don't know Nick and Megan, they're with Life on Fire. Amazing. I'm doing a 3-day mastermind with them this week, which has been incredible. But done is better than perfect. When I start to procrastinate and I catch myself doing it, I'm like, hey, done is better than perfect. So I'll show you an example of this for me. So this is a vision wall that I have that I wanted to create at the beginning of the year. So I have my vision board on it and some different things up here that I won't get into all of it. I'll do it another day. I talked about some of it on a morning routine video that I did. My vision declarations, vision board, books that I'm reading, strategies I'm implementing, people in my mastermind that I just want to be praying over. And I had this vision of this board being beautiful, and I had like all kinds of, it was going to end up being really like a construction project in the end. And I was like, okay, when am I done is better than perfect? Done is better than perfect. So I was like, you know what? We're just going to print stuff off in black and white. It's fine. We'll just put this in. I can make it all beautiful later. I've got quotes and stuff over here. I'm like, it's fine. We're just going to get her done. Done is better than perfect. And it is functioning. It's working. I really enjoy it. I use it every day. And, you know, maybe we'll get to making it beautiful. Maybe we won't this year. I don't know yet. But it's up there. And so that whole thing of procrastination is one of the costs. And we'll get into the cures here in a second. But lost opportunities, because we spend so much time thinking through how to do it just right. Like if you added up the hours that you've spent in your life, if you're a perfectionist at any level, I mean, it's kind of a graduating scale, right? But the hours that you've spent procrastinating, the hours that you've spent being in perfectionism, either leading up to trying to do something or after you did it, criticizing like how you should have done it better. Just the time, the wasted time that you've spent, that I've spent in my life, given to perfectionism when I could have been enjoying so many moments, present to so many moments, present to the people that I'm with. So many things get lost when I spend time procrastinating. So lost opportunities. Chronic stress, man. Perfectionism does a number to our physical bodies. Whether it's anxiety or depression or eating disorders, or like there's so many ways that perfectionism affects our physical bodies. So that is a cost for sure, just the chronic stress. And then just the feeling of constant dissatisfaction, like you do something, you break through, like whatever it takes to kind of hurdle that perfectionism and actually do something, and it still like isn't enough. It's not like you can just celebrate what you did. Often you're kind of critiquing like, man, if I would have just given it more time, or if I would have just practiced it more, if I would have just whatever, it would have been better. It would have been more perfect. So that constant sense of dissatisfaction. So all of these are costs to perfectionism. And it's funny because growing up, I actually thought my perfectionism was a good thing. I kind of prided myself in it. Like, I felt like I did things in excellence. I felt like I was, I mean, the whole list of things that I thought was good about it. It really, when I look at the costs over my lifetime for operating in perfectionism, like far outweigh anything that I was maybe kind of motivated by or served me well. So learning how to deal with this. So we talked about what are some of the things that causes it. We've talked about what are the costs to operating in perfectionism. And I want to talk about what are some of the things you can begin to do to cure it. I just wanted a C word, but really like what are some of the strategies you can put in place to really address perfectionism in your life. So one of the things is to use, when you have these perfectionistic thoughts come up, starting to notice those and use them as a cue for you. Almost like if you're walking down a path and there's like a signpost there, it's like this way to whatever. Let it be a signpost to you. When you see yourself in perfectionism or you notice the procrastination, you're like, okay, this is because there's some need that I'm really wanting to get met right now. What is that need? Or there's some fear, it's trying to protect me, it's trying to protect me from something. So what are those things? And just begin to identify what those are and then step out in front of it and go, okay, you know what? I will get that need met for you in a really healthy way. You don't have to do all this perfectionism gymnastics to get your need met. Like, okay, if it's a sense of belonging that you're needing or approval or recognition, like what are some things that you have in your life that would be healthy ways of having that met? So being able to intentionally get the needs met in a healthy, loving, positive way, that the perfectionism is letting you know that you need. So let it be a signpost for you. Let it be a cue. Collection of tools and strategies. I almost think about it like a tool belt. Like we have these things that we can pull out and use in your perfectionism. One of them is done is better than perfect. So use that one. There's a whole bunch, and I think this is going to be another video for another day, and we'll talk more about the tools in the tool belt. But I'm going to leave that with you today. Done is better than perfect. Where can you apply that for yourself right now in overcoming perfectionism? Have a beautiful day.